Okay. Now, I'm really excited about today because you guys have the Constitution. Everybody hold up your Constitution. Okay, everybody can hold up your Constitution. Okay, you all have it. Very good. And the fact that you're all responding to me shows you can hear what I'm saying. Okay. That's the United States Constitution. And you're going to learn that in this class. I teach a lot of the Constitution because it's so foundational to this country. There are things the Bible and the Constitution have in common, and I want you to understand what that is. Both the Constitution and the Bible were written for the common man, for the common people, for the average person to be able to read it and understand it. The Constitution is not limited just to politicians and lawyers to understand, or for judges. The New Testament is not just, and the Old Testament is not just for clerics, for priests, for clergymen, for pastors to understand. The Bible is written so the common man can understand it. And that is a very, very important thing for you people to understand, that when we look at the Constitution, we understand that it's a document written for the average man. The other thing is, it's a very subversive document in that it speaks truth to power, okay? So a lot of people are very offended by the Constitution. What you're holding, which is the same with the Bible, in fact, they're both pretty subversive documents. Do you understand what I mean? You'll get a better understanding when we get into this. Now, let's start talking together about that document you're holding in your hands called the Constitution. That booklet contains two documents, the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. You know, I like the way Abraham Lincoln said, the Declaration of Independence is the, I forgot what he called it. It is the golden centerpiece, and the Constitution is the frame. It is the beautiful object of gold surrounded by the silver, which is the Constitution. So they're kind of, one was written in 1776 and one was written 11 years later in 1787. But they're both really central. And the Constitution is our foundation of government that brings that makes the Declaration of Independence a functional document that allows us to have the aspirations in the Declaration of Independence of self-government, and really trying to create a prosperous, inclusive, respectful, free country. That's found in the Constitution, the mechanics of how we do that. Well, let's look at those mechanics now. I want you guys to go to page 1 in your books. Page 1 has the preamble to the Constitution, so I want you all to open up, please, to page 1 in there. And you know, you don't need to keep them in those plastic, unless you're going to think you're going to be flooded or something. Those things cost $1 each. I don't want you to treat them with too much tender care. It's $1 each. You can afford that if it gets ruined for any reason. So you just keep it out where it's easily available. Now, the first page has the preamble to the Constitution, right? The purposes of the Constitution. Nod your heads yes and no if you see that. Okay. Now, there are 3 branches of government, and those 3 branches of government are embodied in Article 1, Article 2, and Article 3. And so Article 1 is, and we're going to use the chat feature here. So why don't you guys just use the chat feature? You guys are all familiar with the chat down at the bottom. Okay, Article 1 is talking about what power. Look at the page there where it starts Article 1, which is under the preamble to the Constitution. And what branch of government is Article 1 about? Type it in. Oh, I got somebody responding to that. Legislative. Chase said legislative. Chase, you're right. It's the legislative power. So that would be Congress, which is the House of Representatives and the Senate. It's the legislative power. And that legislative power does what? Kennedy, what does the legislative power does? It does what? It writes laws. If that's what you're going to tell me, Kennedy, you're right. It writes the laws. Now, how many pages, and you guys can type it in and tell me, how many pages is the Article 1? How many pages does the Constitution cover about the legislative powers of the federal government? How many pages? Oh, Chase, 8 to 9. 8. I think it's 8.5. I could be wrong. By the way, I have to tell you, I don't have that Constitution with me, but I'm very familiar with it. It has about 8.5 pages. I think that would be fair to say. Now, very good. Sammy, I want Sammy to type in and tell me, what is Article 2 powers about? And what page is that, Tammy? Sammy, which page? Sammy, which page does that start on? Sammy's going to type it in, and it's going to be page 9. So Sammy, everybody go to page 9, and now type in, Sammy, and tell me what Article 2 powers are about. The executive power, or the presidency. The presidency. And now the president is called the chief executive officer, or he's the chief law enforcement officer. So the president is the equivalent in England of the king, basically, okay? But he's elected, obviously, and he's a limited term. Now, how many pages in the Constitution covers the executive power? Is anybody going to tell me? Type in there, Jacob. Why don't you type in and tell us how many pages are Article 2 under the executive power? Four pages. I think it would be safe to say 3.5. Can you guys, I think 3.5 maybe, is that it? 3.5? Okay, 3.5. So we go from 8.5 pages for the legislative power to 3.5 for the executive power. Now we're going to finish up with the judiciary, or the courts, the Supreme Court. And that's Article 3. So, Ashlyn, I want you to go and tell us what page is that on. And then I want you, Bobby, to tell us how long that is. It's on page 12. How long is the section of the Constitution about the Supreme Court and about federal courts, about the judiciary? How many pages is it? Bobby? 1.5. 1.5. So based on the Constitution, in terms of the thought that was given to the three branches of government, who are called three co-equal branches, since they're co-equal branches, you'd think that they'd be about the same length. Which of those three branches seems to be the most important? Somebody type in and tell me, which is the most important of those three branches, if we judged it on the number of pages in the Constitution? The legislative, Ashlyn says, and she's right. Now, we're going to get into some interesting stuff. The other point I want to make is, if we look at how long the Constitution is, if we look at just the Constitution without the amendments, somebody type in and tell me how many pages the Constitution is. And when we say the pages, it depends what pamphlet you have. I mean, okay, but in the little booklet you have, how many pages is the Constitution? No, actually, it's not 39. It's 17. If you guys look in your book, the Constitution, beginning to end, is only 17 pages. Now, can you guys agree with me that it is not that big a deal to read the Constitution? Oh, whoa, I just made him, okay. Can you guys agree with me? Oh, my chat just went off. Okay, let me see here. Okay, now, can you guys agree with me the Constitution is not that long? You guys are all saying, no, it's not that. The Constitution is not that hard to read, and it's not even that long. Do you guys agree with that? So you have no reason to be completely ignorant. The President of the United States or the Vice President of the United States, as Joe Biden used to be the Vice President of the United States, they should have known that thing. It's not that long. It's not that hard. Hello? Yeah, you guys got that? You're laughing. You're right. You get that. Now, let me share with you something. I'm going to put it to share screen. And I'm going to share with you.
After a briefing on the coronavirus pandemic, Joe Biden is advocating a national mask mandate.
Every single American should be wearing a mask when they're outside.
President Trump blasting Biden's plan.
Well, Joe Biden has been playing politics from the sidelines. He has no clue.
President Trump says the commander-in-chief can't compel people to wear masks.
If the president has the unilateral power to order every single citizen to cover their face in nearly all instances, what other powers does he have?
Instead, it's up to the governors to decide what happens in their state.
I trust the American people, and the governors want to do the right thing, to make the smart decisions, and Joe doesn't.
More than 75% of states, along with Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico, have some kind of mask requirement in place.
Every governor should mandate mandatory mask wearing.
Still, wearing a face covering has become political, despite the science proving its effectiveness.
Be a patriot. Protect your fellow citizens.
The director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention warns
this could be the worst fall.
Okay. Wait a minute here. Okay, now, what is the issue here, okay? What is the issue here that we're talking about? The issue is, who has the authority to order people to wear masks? Is that a power the president should do, or should the governors? Or I should just ask a question. Who should order people to wear masks? The governors or the president? I want you guys to answer that. Bobby, who should order people to wear masks? The governors or the president? Sammy, wait a minute. Am I missing something? I can't hear you. Bobby, can you unmute? Oh, from Bobby to everyone. Governors. You know what? you guys are doing great. Bobby, you did great. You just typed in governors. Sammy wrote in governors. Is there anybody who thinks the president has the authority to order everyone to wear masks? Do any of you believe that? Well, let's take a look at what the Constitution says. Okay, I want you guys to open your constitutions to the 10th Amendment. And I'm going to have Ashlyn open up your microphone, Ashlyn, or Jacob. Jacob, you open your microphone, and I want you to read to us the 10th Amendment. Can you read that to us, Jacob?
Yeah, just let me find it.
Well, somebody help Jacob with the finding the page of the 10th Amendment.
23.
Okay, read it out loud to us. Do you see it on the screen, by the way? You should have it on your screen.
Here it is. Okay. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states reps. I can't read. Respectively, or to the people.
Okay. So what this is saying is the federal government is a power of enumerated power. The only powers the federal government has, and the only powers the president has, are those powers delegated to the president or to Congress or to the judiciary, the Supreme Court, by the Constitution. If the power is not in the Constitution, the president doesn't have that power. Okay? Now, my question is, in looking at that, okay, do you guys understand that principle of enumerated power? That the only power the federal government has is powers that can be traced to something in the Constitution. Do you guys get that? You guys are saying, yeah, you all get that. Now, what if I told you the Constitution tells us in that whether or not the governors or the president has the power to order masks? I want you now to go to Article 2. Remember, we talked about Article 2 a few minutes ago. So everybody turn to Article 2 in your Constitution, because that's on the presidency. That's on the executive power. And that is the powers listed the president has. Okay, now, that is only 3.5 pages, and we don't have time to go through that. We only have a few minutes to go. Do you think in any of those powers listed there, because that's the listing of the powers the president has, you think you're going to find anything there about the president having the power to order people to wear masks? Trust me, there's nothing in there about the president having the power to order masks. So based on the 10th Amendment, who's going to have the power to order masks? You guys are typing in here, governors. Okay, now I got to tell you a story. I got to be fair to Joe Biden. I got to be totally fair, because I want to be fair to everybody. I don't want to pick on anybody because of their political party or any of that. I'll be fair to Joe Biden. Donald Trump came out a few months ago, about 3 or 4 months ago, and he said the president has the authority to order masks. And everybody said, no, you don't. No, you don't. And then he never said anything again. Then he said, oh, the governors have the power. Now, I suspect that somebody probably went and said, Mr. President, here's the 10th Amendment, okay? And then they might have turned to Article 2, and they said, Mr. President, does it say anything about you having the power to order masks? And then President Trump, we never heard him say it anymore. So I got to be fair to Joe Biden. But Joe Biden now is running around and saying, I have the power to order masks. Do you guys think he does? Not if we follow the Constitution, he does. And just a thought. Now, I think that's a really good way that we can look at problems today and see if they address issues that we have. We got like 9 more minutes, so that's pretty good. Okay, I got some really interesting stuff here to share with you. Did you like that, by the way? I think the purpose today is to introduce you to the Constitution. So I say, hello, here's the U.S. Constitution. Kennedy, Sammy, Bobby, Chase, Jacob, Ashland. Here's the U.S. Constitution. Now, Constitution, these are the students. You guys need to get to know each other. You need to be introduced. You've never held the Constitution before that you've consciously thought about it, or actually opened the Constitution. Now, the unfortunate reality is there are many teachers today in government and history who are exactly like that. I'm not like that. If you're going to work with me, we're going to open the Constitution and look at it from time to time. Let's talk about the First Amendment, because I think the First Amendment's amazing. I'm going to share with you guys what happened after the president recently. I'm going to share with you a video. And it's people who are in the Black Lives Movement confronting Rand Paul, who's a United States Senator from Kentucky. And they are saying horrible things to him, and he's needing protection. And I want to share this with you and ask you if you think this is speech within the purview of the Constitution of the United States, okay? If this is going to pass muster.
Say her name! Say her name! Say her name! Say her name! Say her name!
Y'all can take pictures and all that, but y'all gotta go through it, please. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Move back!
Move back!
You move the fuck back!
Move back! Move back! Watch out, bro. I got you.
Okay, there's a lot there that we can unpack together. Okay, the first thing is something you don't know about Rand Paul. Oh, you know what? Okay, there's a lot of things there to unpack. Rand Paul just you heard them yelling, say her name, Breonna Taylor. Rand Paul introduced into Congress Breonna Taylor's a legislation, a bill called the Breonna Taylor bill that makes it illegal to give no-knock warrants. So he's actually introduced something in honor of Breonna Taylor, and they're attacking him. He's a Republican, and he just left the White House to hear Donald Trump's acceptance speech. Now, when we look at the First Amendment freedom of speech, does it protect that kind of language, that kind of speech? Is that speech protected under the First Amendment? Why don't you guys type in? Give me your answers. Is that protected speech under the Constitution? I think you guys are pretty much saying no. Oh, Ashlyn, some of you are saying yes. Okay. It's not protected speech. They're harassing that poor guy. Rand Paul, who's a fine man, I heard him speak here at the Reagan Library 6 months ago or so. He's a great guy. They don't have any right to talk to him and to harass him and to attack him like that. He had a bunch of police around him to protect him. And people don't have a right to engage in that kind of hateful speech, harassment. Okay, now you guys know what's going on. We have 4 more minutes. You know that there's rioting in Seattle, in Kenosha, in Portland. We had LA had riots. You guys know all about that. Now let's take a look. An appropriate question is the First Amendment. I want you all to turn to the First Amendment in your booklets. I want you all to turn to it. And what I'm going to do is make this real easy for you. I'm going to call up here, right here, the First Amendment. Okay. I would like for one of you, and I can't see anybody right now. Would like one of you to beep in and read the First Amendment to us. Somebody just unmute and read the First Amendment.
Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging, how do you say that? I don't know.
Abridging the freedom of speech.
Or of the press,
or the right of the people. Peaceably
to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances.
Right. Okay. Now, you guys know that we have these riots going on, and there are people who argue that they're protesters. What is the key word in the First Amendment that the Founding Fathers, with a great deal of prescience and forethought, what word is key to that in terms of saying that it's not okay to loot and it's not okay to riot and destroy things? And like they torched a whole car lot and killed and destroyed hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of cars, maybe $1 million worth of cars. What is the key word in the First Amendment that says that is not okay? Type it in. Somebody type it in if you don't want to tell us. What is the key word there that in the First Amendment that says looting and destroying things is not part of a protest? People have the right To assemble. What's the word? It starts with a P. It's right in there. Help me out, you guys. Come on. What word jumps out of the First Amendment in terms of your right to petition the government for a redress of grievances, the right to speech? What is the one word? It starts with a P-E-A. Peaceably. Oh, somebody, okay, you all wrote peaceably. A lot of you wrote peaceably. Do you guys get that? The First Amendment doesn't give you the right to loot and riot. You can peaceably assemble, okay? And so I just think the Constitution, there are two main things that we've taken a lot of time to do today. But the first is the governors. Do you guys all agree the governors under the Constitution pretty much have the right to order everybody to wear masks? Hello? The governors have the right because the president doesn't have the list of, doesn't have one of those rights listed in Article 2, right? You guys get that? And the other thing is, there's no such thing as rioting and looting and then saying, this is my First Amendment right. No, you can't do that. Does everybody see that? Did you guys learn something today? We're going to wrap it up now, okay? Now, I'm going to post this class on my YouTube channel. So that if anybody wants to go back and review it, you can do that. I'm going to post it. Does anybody have any questions on what we've covered today that you want to ask? That maybe if you have the question, somebody else may have a question. Was this interesting stuff? Okay. I thought it's interesting, and I think you guys thought it was interesting, and I appreciate your being so attentive. I appreciate it so much. Well, class is over then. Thank you so much. Bye.